Morning. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting, excuse me, July 5th, 2023. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay, thank you. So, hope everybody had a good 4th of July. So is that midweek holiday sort of throws off your entire, thought process. But we was talking a little bit earlier about the fact that had a conversation with people who were someone who were reminding myself of when people used to say, well, 4th of July is here, the summer's half over. And I used to say, what are you talking about? Still, summer's just started. And because of that, we thought it made sense to have a few members of our wonderful health department come and talk a little bit about some of the things Bucks County residents and employees of this county certainly should do to be safe this summer, be prepared for the summer. And so we're happy to have Fal Maggio and Mayor Limbert here to talk about some fun in the sun.
Great. Good morning, everyone, commissioners, members of the public here and listening. So we have a brief presentation, like you said, on summer preparedness. Next slide. And like you said, I'm Mary Limbert. I'm a public health preparedness planner, MRC coordinator. And here with me is my supervisor, Fallon Maggio. She's a preparedness coordinator, and she's also our team leader. Next slide. So very quickly, I want to show you that public health preparedness, we don't fall within personal health and environmental health, which is more commonly known at the health department. We're our own little team of 4, and we focus on preparing the public for public health emergencies and recovery. And we also we have the privilege of coordinating the MRC volunteer unit. And we're always looking for volunteers if anyone's interested. Next slide. Okay, so I want to paint the picture. So I feel like we're all too familiar with this, with the weather we've been having recently, but just imagine that you're leaving work and it's pouring and the roads are starting to flood and you finally make it home. You notice that the power is out, power lines are down, and you're not going anywhere. What are some things that you would have to consider to make your stay at home without the power a little bit more comfortable? Next slide. So, do you know where your flashlights are? Can you get to them in the dark? Do the batteries work? Do you have extra batteries? Water. Do you have a gallon of water per person in your household, which is a lot, but that's for drinking, washing, facilities if you needed to use the facilities. What are you going to eat? Because if the power's out, how are you going to prepare it? So easy foods that you don't need to prepare, granola bars, can openers, and of course you always need a first aid kit. Next slide. Some things that people don't consider when planning for a disaster for your home kit is communication. How are you going to talk to people if your phone is your only line of communication? Do you have any medication that you need? Will you have that until the power is restored? Or any special considerations like contact lenses. Don't forget about your pets. They're gonna be in that house with you as well, and they need sanitation needs, food. And then what are you gonna do to alleviate the boredom and some of the stress? So for little ones, maybe a teddy bear, a blanket. For yourself, a good book, games, something like that. But summer isn't only about storms. There's plenty of great days in the outdoors that you can enjoy it. Next slide. So Fallon.
All right, good morning. Bring this to my level. So in Bucks County, as many of you know, we have wonderful outdoor events from the Doylestown Arts Festival, which you can see in the picture, to the Grange Fair, community festivals. Lots of things are going to bring us outside this summer. So while we can't talk about every single risk and thing to do, we want to make sure people start thinking about identifying hazards they may encounter. So whether it's ticks and mosquitoes, germs, crowds, different types of emergencies, or the weather. Plan ahead how you can protect yourself, the people in your group, whether it's family or friends, and how you can stay healthy. So with the weather, make sure you have and wear sunblock. Make sure you reapply that sunblock. That's something people usually forget. Drink tons of water and stay hydrated. I know people tend to drink other beverages when it gets hot. Water is the best thing. Check the forecast. Make sure you sign up for different weather alerts. I think we noticed yesterday the weather can change on a dime. And make sure you dress for the weather. Ticks and mosquitoes, insect repellent, making sure that clothing gets treated with an insecticide called permethrin, and avoiding standing water, which are traditionally their breeding grounds. Germs, hand washing with soap and water is always the best thing. If you can't do that, make sure you use hand sanitizer. Stay home if you're sick, and make sure that you're maintaining proper food temperatures and drinking potable water, which is safe to drink, not necessarily from a hose, not necessarily from a stream. And then with crowd safety, something we recommend strongly is taking a picture with your group before you go to the event and making sure everybody has that photo. So not only, if you get separated, you'll know what people were wearing. If you have to show it to anybody, to security to say, did you see this person? You know exactly what they were wearing. And sometimes it even helps to dress like a team. So everybody in blue, everybody in red, whatever it is. And then also learn how to safely navigate crowds. There's a lot of information online about how that can be done safely and how you kind of have to zigzag going through. And for emergencies, making sure you know where first aid stations are, making sure that if anybody has medical conditions, you know about them for the people in your group. So if somebody is allergic to bees, do they have their EpiPen with them? Do you know how to use it if that person needs it? Again, staying hydrated. And there's free trainings that you can do to help with these emergencies, and we'll talk about them. So preparedness is a behavior, and it needs to be practiced before it's needed. I think we all remember doing fire drills as a kid. It's reinforcing the right activity and the right thing to do. Starting slowly and gradually to build up your resources. You don't have to buy everything at once. It's kind of unaffordable to do that. Make sure you tailor it to your needs. If you have pets, children, older adults living with you, make sure there are things in there for them. And again, it doesn't have to be costly. There are free trainings, such as hands-only CPR, Stop the Bleed. You can wait for items to go on sale or use coupons, and then rotate supplies, because you don't want that to go to waste. So here are some local resources. The Bucks County Medical Reserve Corps. In addition to supporting emergency events for the health department, they also provide education at a lot of community events. And Audrey could probably talk more about this, but we have Ready Bucks that citizens can register for emergency alerts. And then you can see some online resources. So hopefully we'll be back in September for National Preparedness Month. This year's theme is Older Americans, and making sure that they have what they need in an emergency and that their caregivers are empowered to take care of them as well. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Oh, it's okay. No, it's okay. Yeah. All right, nice.
Yeah, so like Fallon said, it is expensive and pricey to kind of get all the supplies you need, so we have the preparedness kit, so you can start going through your supplies of what you have, and then what you still need to add to it. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Very nice, awesome. So, yeah, we certainly want everybody to have a safe summer, and not just in terms of being worried about some of the bigger issues like flash flooding and rainstorms and things that seem to have happened a lot over the past couple of years for some reason. Not sure why. Maybe we're jinxed or something. But but we certainly think about the longer term things that tend to hit you. Because you got used to just going out in the sun without sunblock, and I don't really need sunblock, it's okay. And all of a sudden, you end up at the doctor's office and, you needed sunblock. to where, and just being careful. And ticks and mosquitoes, certainly the county does what it can to try and control mosquito populations. Avoid standing water, as you heard, anywhere, I think it's any little, fraction of an inch of water that's sitting, in a little, upturned, something in your yard you don't even think about, that's going to be a breeding ground for mosquitoes. And so making sure that's empty, or there isn't even a beginning of that. So, the state also does some things for mosquito preparedness that, they spray different times. So we're obviously appreciate their support too. And ticks, obviously making sure, checking yourself, checking kids, using proper medication on your dogs or cats if they're outside to try and keep them safe, because they obviously bring things inside. So thank you very much to Ms. Limbert and Ms. Maggio. Appreciate you being here and all your efforts. And thank you. We'll see you in September. All right. Take care. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, move on to public comment. First name is, again, this is agenda items. I would ask speakers to please refer to specific items on the agenda that they have questions about or comments on. Ed Mackhouse.
Edward Mackhouse from Buckingham. I'd like to speak about two agenda items. The one on election software update, and the one on drugs. On the election, 65% of the American people believe there's election fraud, and that the January 6th was a setup. And I have experience with software, and why is there the software change? And software needs to be tested. I believe in the paper ballots to be able to check the things, and you have the responsibility for that. Question of drugs. The more power you have, the more money and strength you have, the more responsibility you have. So the question of drugs, why is 1/3 of the young girls considering suicide now? What is the problem? What kind of leadership do we have? We have Biden and Joe and Hunter Biden in the White House. They found cocaine in the library. We should have books in the library, not pornography and other things. And the question is respect, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Women should be respected. Women have had a lot of advances. Gays have had a lot of advances. Gays and women should be more protected. And the Bible says pride comes before the fall. The 4th of July, I was with the Moms for Liberty group. They had all the speakers. They don't endorse a presidential candidate, but women, mothers deserve. Under Biden, the Moms for Liberty has grown from nothing over the last 2 years because women not getting respect. Women deserve respect and security. Riley Gaines speaks about Lou Thomas, 30 women harassed swim team members at the University of Pennsylvania, hundreds of men claiming to be trans to compete against women and beat them down. So respect and safety, as a scientist, you don't have to be a scientist to know there's a fundamental physical difference between men and a woman, and they should be able to, women who train harder should not be beaten down and threatened and have to excite men by being naked in their showers. So Riley Gaines speaks up, and she was beaten and attacked, and I think we should respect women. And women physically are not equal to men, but with a gun, an equalizer, they can defend themselves. In Switzerland, where at least more than 50% of the households have military rifles, there hasn't been a mass shooting in 21 years. When people, mama bears, people defend their children, you don't have all these mass shooters, and you don't have all these drug problems. Thank you very much.
Okay, again, would ask speakers to confine themselves to things actually on our agenda. Andy Warren?
Morning, Commissioners. Item 6D, $447,000, $500,000, to purchase a property on Flushing Road. Could you tell me, or someone, how many square feet do we get? Are we buying the house, we buying the land? What is it we're buying for $500,000? Item 8, is it unusual to be signing a side letter for premium to increase pay in the middle of a contract year, which I'm assuming this is? I don't think we have contracts for 6 months. Item 9B, $100,000 for Lawson support. What is a Lawson support or the Lawson support? And my last point is item number 15, diversion assessment rehabilitation and treatment project, $16,400,000. And the county's not spending anything. It's great buy, great deal, but who is paying for it? Where does $16 million for this project, from where does it come? Who will ultimately own it and operate it? The county, the people who are paying the money, what's the operational source? And essentially, particularly the idea of the source of money. Somebody's got to be putting this up. We know a lot of times George Soros puts money up and people elect a prosecutor. Who controls the prosecutor? $16 million. Who is it and what's it for? Thank you.
Okay. Beth Curcio.
One A, B, and C. I went online to check one of these organizations out, and I just want to make sure that someone in the county is really getting in there and seeing, are these really a safe place? When you read a line where it says, it's a safe place for children to be themselves, I hope you all take the time to go watch the movie that they put out on the child trafficking. There's 85,000 children missing because of the border. So I want to know if somebody's in there checking this out to make sure there are no groomers there. I had 4 children and they were always safe in my home. Not that everybody has a safe home, but regular children are being groomed, and I want to make sure the county's on top of that. 6D, could you please explain what this is about? Turning a school into housing for children. Where are these children coming from? 6F, what is this property being used for? Why are the dates from last year and no amount? 7A through C, why is there an uptick in funding housing shelters? Where are these people coming from? Is it because Bucks County is a sanctuary county? Please explain this. How many people are being deposited into our county? Who is keeping track of these numbers and identifications of these people? Why won't you hold a town hall? This is important to the county residents. 13A, what type of services are you providing for these at-risk youth, and what specific training are you affording them through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act? Please explain this program, and is this to match the county with potential county employees? If not, then who? 15C, what population are you diverting, and what address is this $10,299 building going to be located at? This project is totaling over $16 million, so we like that kind of information. Thank you. And also, just a comment that you could have put the agenda up on the 3rd, but you chose to put on the 4th. You had that agenda done, and on a holiday, it would have been nice to have the time. Thank you.
Friday. Yep. Liz Yels.
Different.
Liz Youst, Northampton Township. 7G, please explain specifically what population this street outreach assistance is for and what specifically is rehabilitation enhancement. What does that mean? 8A, B, and C, what is a side letter agreement and what are the anticipated amounts since none are filled in? 12A, voting machines. Approve contract increase to add software upgrade to voting machines and related systems. Why not bolster voter confidence and go back to paper ballots and hand count the ballots in each precinct? I'm sure you'll get tons of voters who are more than willing to assist instead of putting our taxpayer dollars into a system that nobody trusts because you block access to hand counts. I'd like to make a comment about the preparedness presentation. I think it was fantastic, and I think that it should have been made available to people during an evening meeting. I'd like an answer to my question as to why it's not possible to have one nightly meeting a month or a separate town hall type of meeting. The reason I come here, taking time away from work, is to demand the transparency that Bucks County voters deserve. I want to open up the eyes of people who are watching these meetings to make them aware and encourage them to get involved in the electoral process. I encourage people to read the parallel election. It's got evidence of electoral cheating in Delaware County. The court case will be heard on July 11. God willing, the next year, we will have a majority Republican supervisor commissioners, and we will get the transparency that we deserve. Thank you.
Okay. Those are all the names on the list. Just going through some of the questions. 6D talked about the property on Flushing Road in Bensalem. This is, as it says, to expand the Children Youth Pathways to Housing program with BCOC using rescue plan money. This is property, is it Livinggreen, right? Yeah, Liberté. Yeah, this is actually a home that's on a property owned by an organization called Liberté. Liberté is one of the partners that we have, that we work with. They provide services to women and children who are in need of services. This is actually something that they've been looking for expansion into this area, and the county's further partnering with them so that we can keep expanding services along those lines. Good explanation, so Ms. Neff, or yeah? You're buying the house. Like, can we have the microphone to Ms. Neff, please?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's approximately 1,800 square feet.
use the microphone. Mr. Hutt, sorry.
The property's about 1,800 square feet.
Okay.
It's a split level, single home.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Commissioner. I just wanted to add that we'll be partnering as well with Bucks County Opportunity Council, and they'll be providing those supportive services, and this is a great expansion of what Children and Youth is already doing. We have a site at Christ Home, and it will allow mothers who need support with their children to receive additional services.
Okay, thank you. So that's a couple of questions on 6D. 6F, there's a question about 6F. I'm just going to go in order of the agenda, actually, instead of by speaker. This is, the county has various properties, single-family homes, sometimes attached homes that we lease throughout the county. This happens to be one of those properties. It is a row home. This is simply a change in who is actually leasing it. Was 2 leasees originally, and now it's just going to 1 leasee. So the price isn't, the rent isn't changing, just who's actually listed on the lease. Question about 7A through C. This is for shelter operations to a Woman's Place, Bucks County Housing Group, and Family Services. Was just really the first two are increases, or one's just an extension of time. There are still people in this county who are struggling to find a place to live. We do have, and we've actually published our point-in-time report in terms of homelessness in Bucks County. It is down slightly from the past, but that's something our housing community development group focus on. This is what they do, which is why it's under their agenda item here. We do make a point, if we do come in contact with people from, let's say, Philadelphia, for example, who come to Bucks County, of actually encouraging them to return to Philadelphia, because Philadelphia actually has more services to offer people who are homeless than we do, just because of their size and their budget. So, and the number of things they have to offer. So, but these are Bucks County residents for the most part, who we try to work with, and these partners work with to try and get them help. 7G, Valley Youth House, approved contract for funding for street outreach. Again, this is just what it sounds like. This is paying basically for this organization to kind of go out and come into contact with people who are homeless to see what services we can offer them to try and get them help. For 8, the Human Resources, there is a side letter, essentially a couple of questions about this. Side letter is essentially an agreement with a bargaining unit, with a union. It does happen after the contract's been negotiated or before the next contract's negotiated to negotiate something specific that both sides agree on. The staff at Chamonix Manor do a wonderful job. It's we believe one of the preeminent nursing homes in this state. It's been difficult, as people probably know, to find people going into healthcare, whether it's hospitals, nursing homes. Everyone is having a problem attracting employees, and so this is something that we struggled with as well here at the county. We think we offer great benefits, great pay, a great environment to work in, but sometimes it's hard to get people to do these jobs because they're not easy. And so this is really something to recognize the fact that we have employees who are going above and beyond, and this is really kind of reinforcing our appreciation for that. Question about Lawson support. I'll turn to Mr. Regula if he can talk a little bit about what Lawson support is. Sure. What Lawson is first, and then what the support is. How about that?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, we have this for your consideration. Lawson is our ERP system. It is responsible for the software for general ledger purchasing, payroll, and human resources. We had recently had a retiree inside of our ERP department, and we are looking for consultative support to help us bridge that gap because the system we now have is being discontinued. We have an RFP in the field for a new one. So rather than ramping up new staff and talent and looking for a skill set that is not going to be needed in the future, we are looking for, this contract is for time and material, so it would only be used as needed to supplement work that we need to get done in lieu of that retiree.
Okay, thank you.
Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. I actually missed item 1, the 3 items there, all contract increases to provide early intervention services to children. These are children who are born, this is all children from birth to 3 years old, children who are suffering or who are born with behavioral developmental disabilities. I kind of forgot to mention that, just considering they were accused of potentially being child traffickers. I want to make sure that was clear that they are not involved in that. They're organizations we work with. They do a wonderful job for helping families who are, trying to negotiate a very difficult situation. So we appreciate their help and are glad to be working with them. 12A was about elections, asking us to move back to paper ballots. The entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has paper ballots. We've been using paper ballots since 2020. This is not a secret, and so I'm a little confused as to why people still think we don't use paper ballots when everybody votes by paper. So this is simply an upgrade to the software. The company we use, Clear Ballot, this company was just certified again by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, one of the 5 companies that is licensed, basically approved by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to provide machines to counties. Counties choose their own. Clear Ballot was the company that was chosen by the previous Board of Commissioners in late 2019. We've had a very good relationship with them. They work very well, and we're very proud of the job they've done. 13A, the out-of-school youth program through the Bucks County Community College. This is a program that works with youth, sometimes still, or people who are out of school, rather. If they've dropped out, this is really helping them get training for job skills. It's training them on everything from basic skills on, it could be things like carpentry, electrical, it could be things like that. It could just be helping them write resumes, helping them get ready for to pass the GED, and really trying to help them be as productive as they can. Anytime we're using any kind of federal grant, which the WIOA Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act grant is, there is a very, very specific list of things we need to do through Workforce and Economic Development and the community college. Every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed, so it's very specific in terms of what can be done and how the money can be spent. So this is a program combined with the in-school youth program, which works with students who are still in school, providing a lot of the same services. For several years, we've had this program, so we're happy to be partnering again with the community college for this and expanding on this grant. 15, a couple questions with 15, which we will get to. Obviously, we're going to have a presentation on that in a minute. And with regards to the agenda being posted, Ms. Fitzpatrick, when was the, yeah?
The agenda was posted midday on Monday.
Midday on Monday. Thank you. So, all right. Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. We have the minutes from June 21st. Any comments or corrections, questions about those minutes? If not, we'll incorporate them into the consent agenda. The consent agenda is items 1 through 14B. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, regular agenda. We have 5 items, all focused on the Diversion Assessment Rehabilitation and Treatment Center, which is a project the county's been working on really since 2020. And we have, I know Donna Duffy-Bell is here from Behavioral Health and Development Programs, and I thought I saw there's Mr. Griggs in the back, our project's diversity officer. They're going to talk a little bit about, do a little tag team here on this project. And first, I guess maybe explaining what this project is. That was a question you heard from a few members of the public. And then we'll get into the actual items we're voting on today, which is the construction project, and that'll go sort of Mr. Griggs' alley.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner. First of all, as Mr. Warren asked, the target population for this center will be individuals who have mental illness, but also have co-occurring interface or involvement with the criminal justice system. These will be adult individuals, and Commissioner Harvey mentioned that this center has been under development since 2020, and it was actually the community service gap was identified back in 2016 when the Human Services Subcommittee of the Criminal Justice Advisory Board, CJAP, did what's called a sequential intercept mapping. And what that looks at is all the different interfaces and places where an individual can touch the criminal justice system, from first contact with law enforcement all the way through incarceration and then re-entry back into the community. And so the purpose of this center for adults is to divert individuals from incarceration and also from further penetration into the criminal justice system. And for individuals who have already been incarcerated, the center is to reduce and mitigate recidivism back into incarceration. The location of this center will be at 1270 Amsas Road, which is actually being built from the ground up. The old Women's Community Correctional Facility was demolished, asbestos was mitigated, and construction will now occur on that footprint of that old facility. It will be approximately 23,000 square feet and serving a total capacity of 28 adults. That square footage will be divided into 3 units. One will be a short-term observation unit, so giving an opportunity, for example, to magisterial district justices when someone comes before them who obviously has mental health issues or has known mental health issues and needs a safe place to be assessed and connected to treatment rather than incarcerated. That is one example of how this center will benefit the continuum of services available to folks in the criminal justice system. Also, as I had mentioned previously, individuals re-entering from incarceration, individuals on probation and parole, these are all different intercepts where an individual may benefit from this center. So the short-term observation unit, as I mentioned, will have a capacity for 8 individuals at any given time. The expected length of stay in that unit is up to 2 weeks. It will also have a restoration to competency unit for individuals at any given time. So sometimes individuals get involved in the criminal justice system, but they cannot proceed to trial because they are not deemed legally competent to have access to the due process. So they need to be restored to competency prior to their case progressing in the criminal justice system. We will also have a residential treatment facility for adults. Again, all these different units will serve both men and women. The residential treatment facility will serve up to 16 individuals at any given time, and that will be a transitional housing program with treatment support. So individuals may spend 9 to 12 months in that unit, again, regaining the skills and the psychiatric stability to have the best chance when they continue in the community of succeeding and of being supported in their recovery. Funding for the project is coming from a variety of sources. The construction is largely being funded by what's called Health Choices Reinvestment monies. These are monies that become available through the county's management of the Medical Assistance Health Choices contract. If there are monies that were available for services, not used for services in a given time frame, those monies are able to be reinvested back into services and supports, but also can be used for one-time construction of a facility that will provide services and supports to individuals with behavioral health needs. So several $1 million will be provided by reinvestment funds. There will also be funds made available through the American Rescue Plan. There's also grant monies that have been made available through what's called HRSA, which is congressionally driven funds. And then for services down the road, there will be funds available from Magellan Behavioral Health for the ongoing operations, as well as mental health county-based dollars for services. As I mentioned, the asbestos mitigation has been completed, the demolition has been completed, and then up for consideration today are several construction contracts. In terms of timeline, we are looking at late 2024 for the program to be opened.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Griggs, you want to comment on these 5 specific items, what exactly it is we're voting on today, and how this process worked?
Don't mind if I do, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for having me here today. You heard a little bit about the asbestos and demolition mitigation for the project. The project, as you know, is going at the former site of the WCCC, the Women's Community Correction Center. The site was demolished earlier this year and cleared to prepare to make way for this new project. The construction design team, I am the project director representing the county in cooperation with the General Services Department. The construction manager for the project is Joseph Gingoli and Sons. Our architect and lead professional consultant is USA Architects. Civil, geotechnical, and structural engineering is Carroll Engineering Corporation. Mechanical, electrical, and piping, MEP engineering is Windward Engineers. And last but certainly not least, for your consideration today, would be the prime contractors, the 5 contractors on the regular agenda here today for general construction, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and fire protection would actually be the firms that would build the project. The building specifications, it's about 24,000 square feet, 23,723 to be exact. The structure is a 1-story slab-on-grade building with an A-frame roof design. The exterior of the building is a stone veneer with a cementitious siding and asphalt roof shingles. The interior includes commercial and institutional finishes that are typical for this type of facility that would coincide with what Mrs. Donna Duffy Bell mentioned would take place inside the facility. Technology and amenities include state-of-the-art IT, AV, security features tailored to operational needs. Base bid milestones for the construction project are as follows. Submittal submissions, including procurement, due 90 days after notice to proceed. Substantial completion, targeted to be achieved within 455 calendar days after notice to proceed. Final completion, expected to be completed within 30 calendar days from substantial completion. That just about sums it up. But just like to say thank you to you, commissioners, for having the vision of making this project what seems to be coming to be a reality. It's an exciting project, and I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the county team. Way too many people to mention individually because I would probably leave a lot of people out. But a whole lot of work went into getting to this point where we are today, and we're really excited about the project and looking forward to putting the shovels in the ground and going vertical with the project. So.
All right, thank you. And the 5 contracts we're awarding today for the construction, all the different construction, GC and the 4 subs, all these went through the county's responsible contractors ordinance?
So they were all bid publicly, competitively. We received several bids in each prime category. We went through the extensive RCO process to determine whether or not contractors were actually qualified to do the work. And we've come to the conclusion that the 5 contractors on the agenda for your consideration have met the requirements.
Okay. All right, thank you, appreciate that. Other questions from commissioners or comments? No? Okay. All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so we have item 15, as you heard, the presentation from Ms. Duffy Bell and Mr. Griggs. We're looking at 15A, the fire protection contract to Guy Cooper Incorporated. 15B, mechanical engineering contract to Integrity Mechanical. 15C, general construction contract to Magnum. 15D, electrical contract to Farfield Company, sorry. And 15E is the plumbing contract to Vision Mechanical Incorporated. Is there a motion at this time for on the regular agenda 15A through E.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving to personnel actions, the commissioners' list. Is there any comments or questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the commissioners' list as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board appointments, the Bucks County Housing Authority. It's a 5-year term. This is Mr. William Appleton. This is a new appointment. Term will end on June 30th, 2028. Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Appleton?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. For other civics, 2 for the Neshaminy School District. This is reimbursement for a field trip program the county helped sponsor. 1 reimbursement in the amount of $1,024.07. Second reimbursement in the amount of $396.06. Is there a motion to approve both of those payments?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Chief Operating Officer, Ms. McKevitt.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to thank you, Board, for approving the field trip program. It's a program that started with Commissioner Marseglia, I want to say 2018, yeah. And to see that schools are continuing to use it is very good. And I also want to thank Bernard and Donna Duffy Bell and her staff for getting this project underway. It has, I'm going to repeat what Bernard said, there was a lot of folks involved in this project, and it's now, the shovel is hitting the ground, so we're very thrilled for that, and thank you to your staff for helping get us there. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. All right, Solicitor's report, Ms. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have just one item to report. The board held its standing executive session on Friday, June 30th, with staff and legal counsel to discuss personnel matters and to receive confidential legal advice about both pending and prospective litigation.
Okay, thank you. All right, move on to public comment. Mr. Mackhouse.
Edward Mackhouse again, Buckingham, former teacher, scientist. To be or not to be, that's what Shakespeare says. What are we to be? There are candidates campaigning for president, the leadership. Under President Trump, we became energy independent and we controlled the world. We could give energy to other people. Under this last 2 years, under Biden administration, we've lost energy independence. We've become a beggar nation to beg others, and price of oil rose so that Russia could finance the war in Ukraine. This is the horrible thing. The environment, whether the sea rise another inch or so, is not the issue. The issue is we'll have a nuclear war, a nuclear world war. Russia's bombed, blew up the dam in Ukraine. They're threatening to blow up nuclear reactors, and they're the largest in the world, contaminating the world from that. China's bringing nuclear weapons probably to Cuba. If we spread nuclear weapons to 100 nations, one of the nations is going to get angry and be dissatisfied and start off a chain nuclear world war reaction. We should have water and stuff, be prepared for this, unless we can get President Trump in there or some responsible Republican. And responsible Democrats like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. should be supported. And Biden doesn't even have a campaign. He doesn't remember who you are, Queen Elizabeth or what. So you're not going to get any real recognition from him. So we should have great Democrats should run. We need a two-party system, bipartisan system of responsible people that will put America and the world and our survival first. And not, war isn't the answer, and it's short-term profits, but the disaster could make America look like the moon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Warren.
Two general questions, comments, follow-up on today's thing. 6D, the property on Flushing Road or whatever it is, who owns that property now? Is it a private owner? Is it a business? Is it Liberté? Is it dilapidated? What's it? Who owns it? And From what you described in 8, the way you described the mid-contract letters, to me, that, let me change that, you can, in some people's mind, that could translate to bonuses. If I understood what you were saying, we have mid-contract because the employees are working harder than thought or hard, or fill in your descriptive word, they're getting a financial bump mid-contract. Is that, you don't have to agree word for word, is that a fair assessment of what happened?
Okay. Beth Curcio.
Zelensky famously wrote that he who controls the language controls the masses. We surrender power and control to the cult crusaders who are attempting to dominate our society by remaking our language and thus our culture when we begin using language of the invading cult. This is Marxism. Nothing good has ever come from one ruler. Study real history. Simply don't accept it. Refuse to live by lies. Refuse to speak a language of lies. We are experiencing a total breakdown of our society. You can sit there and you can pretend it's not happening and do nothing and wonder what happened when you have absolutely no freedom left. If you find Mr. Harvey and Diane's total lack of respect for the people of Bucks County amusing, you will wonder what happened. Don't ever forget that what they did to the children of Bucks County during the pandemic. They took orders from higher ups instead of what was right for the children and the community. Then they practiced more tyranny by suing moms for filing legal right to knows. They're using taxpayer money against the taxpayer. Then the mom wins, and what do? They do it again, and they file an appeal. It's election time, and truth must not come out. Marxism strategy to wear them down and bankrupt them. But Mr. Harvey, you keep saying you're so transparent. We want a town hall for the people of Bucks County, and we want it now. I don't want to hear Diane go on a rant that is a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt that we pay you over $105,000 a year plus perks and benefits. Because quite frankly, you all act like useless idiots and never get anything accomplished. The taxpayer paid for this room, let's use it. It's time to allow the people to dialogue back and forth instead of you giving us 2 minutes and then gaslighting us. We are here on our dime. We do not need to sit through employee recognition, climate change, pride talks, and other sorts of nonsense. Thank you.
Liz Yost.
I did not get an answer as to why a night meeting can't happen. I guess I'll have to take my time next time and ask it again. I have a follow-up question on 7A to C. You, Mr. Harvey, you said Bucks County residents, for the most part, who else besides Bucks County residents would be in those homes? Does the homeless report include the number of illegals? Also, I'd like to clarify about the paper ballots subject. We know that Bucks County uses paper ballots. Those of us who talk about going back to paper ballots are talking about not using machines that could be connected to the internet and manipulated. We would also like mail-in and absentee ballots to be counted in each district. I have had people come to me who were told that they already had a ballot cast in their name, and they said they did not do that. They were there in person to vote. If we had those mail-in ballots at the precinct, we would be able to spoil that ballot, and the person would be able to vote in person. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll just, really think, well, a couple things worth addressing. First off, commissioners don't make $105,000. Commissioners make, I believe it's around 98 something. So that's comments made a couple times incorrectly about how much commissioners are paid. In terms of voting, the Bucks County, in addition to the other 66 counties in this Commonwealth, follows state law. State law mandates where ballots are counted. They're not counted in local precincts. That is something that, first off, I'm not sure the poll workers who are making about $200 a day would want to sit there and count every single ballot that comes in, to their precinct, considering precincts have about 1,800 to 1,900 voters per precinct. So in addition to that, the machines, which we have stated ad infinitum, that count ballots are not connected to the internet. So not really sure why we have to keep saying that, but I know the conspiracy theories are alive and well, unfortunately. And in terms of damages to society, I think we have said for a long time that we're seeing a lot of that, unfortunately, and seeing some of it at this meeting and other meetings like this one. So those are all the comments. We'll move to commissioner comment. Commissioner DiGirolamo, any comments?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Many of you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, sometimes the years go by, that we had a very serious flooding condition from storms, or it might have even been the remnants of a hurricane, down in the lower part of the county. And Bensalem was one of the communities that was heavily affected by that. And in particular, one community, a community of condominiums down by City Line Avenue, right on Route 13, that borders Red Line Road. Those residents down there were just devastated. And I think through the last couple of years, most of them, if not all of them, have rebuilt with help from the county, from the federal government, and from the state with disaster relief funds. Last week, and I just want to show you how government should be cooperating and working together. Last week, I got a call from the mayor of Bensalem, Joseph DiGirolamo, and he said the residents down there in that condominium community were very concerned because of, I guess we had some thunderstorms last week or the week before, and the water level there at the creek had risen up, and they were concerned that they might get flooded again. And the residents said the problem was that underneath, there's a bridge on Red Line Road, a very small bridge that you're in Bensalem on one side, on the other side is Philadelphia, that there was debris and trash and all kinds of tree limbs that were stuck underneath the bridge, and the residents believe that's the reason that the water level was rising. So the mayor sent some people down there to take a look at it, and they said that was true. But they also said and determined that the bridge was a county bridge, one that we have responsibility for. So the mayor asked me if I could look into maybe possibly getting it cleaned out. After I talked to the mayor, I made a call to George Hutt, who is our director for Department of General Services, and he says he was aware of the bridge. He said he was going to go down and take a look at it and send some people down. And I got a call from the mayor 2 days later thanking me. He said, because the bridge was cleaned out the next day. So I just wanted to give a shout out to George and the people that you have there at the Department of General Services for getting right on that, because then people, they really had a reason to be genuinely concerned, because this happened to them, the flooding, a couple of years ago. So I just wanted to thank George. The mayor called me right after it got cleaned up, and he said, please thank whoever got it done, and I told him, that you did and your people did. So thank you, George, for doing it, and the residents down there are very happy that you got it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Commissioner Marseglia? Okay, thank you. Just want to close out actually with a thank you based on, we're excited really to have this regular agenda item today. about the treatment center that we're building here in this county. It's certainly long overdue. As you heard, in 2016, there was a study done that showed that there was a gap, that something like this was needed. 2016. Obviously, no action was taken. And so I know that at least one person up here on this dais was banging a drum and has been banging a drum for a few decades now about the need for more mental health services. And I know that coming into this office, it was one of the things that was being focused on. One of the main focus was to get this going vertical, which I like that term Mr. Griggs used, getting this building up and helping to serve the residents of this county who suffer from mental illness and find themselves in trouble with the law at some point. And it obviously helps our corrections department because, you know, people who are going through that kind of circumstance really don't belong in a jail. The jail's not a place for them. And so I want to thank Commissioner Marseglia for the work that she's been doing for a very, very long time to try and get this building up and just get increased services to people throughout this county. So I know that she's proud to be able to finally get a chance to do these things. She got a chance to do very little for a long time, and over the past few years, we've had a chance to do a lot. So I don't think we're going to name it after you, but yeah. But certainly, you know, we'll let you put the first shovel on the ground. How about that? All right. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.